Hi everybody, I'm so happy that you joined me today. I'm going to teach you how to make a very simple cannabis tincture. So I'm going to move my camera down below so that you can see everything that you'll need, and I'll walk you through the process. All right. So to make a tincture, the first thing that you're going to need obviously is cannabis. I keep my cannabis in a glass mason jar because it keeps it fresh. I'm going to weigh out 14 grams of cannabis on my scale. The reason is that I decarb my cannabis in this awesome machine. I'm going to talk about it in a second. And that machine only takes 14 grams. If you're going to do your decarbing in the oven, you can decarb as much as you want. I have 14 grams here. Decarbing is the process of taking the cannabis and heating it up to a certain temperature so that the molecules THCA and CBDA, if you have CBD in your plant, turn into THC and CBD. So they need to be activated or heated up in order to turn into the compounds that we're looking for. And like I said, I do this in this handy little machine, which I love. And if you make lots of cannabis creations, I definitely suggest that you get one as well. It's called a Nova, and it's by the company Ardent, which is a woman-run company, which I love. And all you do is you put in up to 14 grams and literally hit this button, and it turns red. In about an hour and a half, it'll turn green, and I'll know that my cannabis is decarbed. The number one reason why I bought this is that if you decide to decarb in the oven, which is a very simple process as well, you just keep your cannabis in your glass jar, take the label off, put it in the oven at about 240 degrees Fahrenheit for 40 minutes. And when it comes out, it'll be a little bit dry and crispy. Again, we do this to activate it. So you must do this before you make a tincture or basically any edible. When you decarb in the oven, you can lose up to 30% of the compounds, and you don't want to do that because cannabis is expensive. So this little machine pays for itself really quickly if you make lots of infusions. The thing you're going to do next is grind up your decarbed cannabis. So this is some stuff that I did earlier, and it's like dry and crispy, and it smells a little bit toasty. And you're going to grind it up. I brought a coffee grinder just for this purpose. You don't have to do that. You can just cut it up with scissors if you want. You're not looking to have it like pulverized. You're just looking to break up the surface area so that the alcohol can strip off more of those like precious goodies that we want. So this one that we have is called Zombie Kush. I always recommend really labeling your jars with as much information as you can. How much cannabis you put in there, how much alcohol you put in there, what kind of alcohol you put in there. Fill that green piece of tape up with everything that you can. It's easy to forget. So this one I am going to do in vodka. You have lots of options. You can basically use any clear alcohol. If you're in the States, they tell you to use Everclear, which is really high alcohol, really high proof alcohol. And we don't have access to that here in Canada, but I'm going to post a link down below for anybody who has a medical prescription. There is a way, at least in Ontario, to write to the LCBO and tell them that you would like higher proof alcohol to do your tinctures with, and then you can go ahead and buy that at the LCBO. So I've got my alcohol in here and my decarbed cannabis. You're going to shake it a lot. And you put this little puppy in your cupboard and let it sit there for a long time. The longer, the better. You can see that I have quite a bit of liquid in here for how much cannabis I have. I maybe shouldn't have poured in half a cup right away. I should have checked it. The thing with making your own creations is that you never really have a great idea of what's in it. So you always have to test the product anyway. Like you start low and go slow, even with your own products. But if you want a more potent tincture, put in less alcohol so that there's more cannabis and less alcohol. And yeah, you let this sit in your cupboard. Some people leave it a week, some people leave it a month, some people leave it a year. It just gets more potent up to a certain point the longer you leave it. And you can add in more cannabis as you get it if you like. You can make this a really dynamic process. So The other trick that lots of people don't know about, and I love telling them about, is that if you use a vaporizer to use your to smoke instead of smoking cannabis, I ask that you save all the stuff that all your kind of spent remains that are in here. Save them, because even though you've already used them in when you used it in the vaporizer, this stuff is still potent. It's not as potent as fresh cannabis, but it still packs a wallop. So this is called ABV oil, which stands for already been vaped. Sorry, it's not oil. I'm going to make a tincture, an ABV tincture. And you can see I didn't measure this, so I am literally just going to pour this on top. This one is moonshine, which had a pretty high alcohol content, but it tastes awful. So I'm just trying to use up the rest of it, to be honest. Yeah, so that's not enough. So I'm going to add in some vodka here. It's just a tincture, however it works out. Basically, what you're trying to do is to get the good stuff off the cannabis and into the alcohol. So again, you shake the heck out of your tincture, and then you're going to store this in the cupboard. So this is called a cupboard tincture. There's a bunch of other ways to do the tinctures, but this is called the cupboard tincture. When you are ready, and you can test this every couple of days or every week by just taking a little spoon of it and putting it in some juice and drinking it, you should notice the effects. If you drink it, let's say within 20 minutes up to an hour and a half. I know that's a really big range, but gosh, cannabis is hard to really narrow down. So once it's at the right strength for you, all you do is you take a strainer and put some cheesecloth in it, and you pour this concoction into the strainer and let it drain into a jar. And then you have a tincture that you can take it in a little small tincture bottle with you. It's really discreet. You can drop it into beverages. Some people can handle it underneath their tongue. I cannot. Yeah, so it's a really great way to ingest cannabis without smoking it. The other things that you can do with tinctures is you can turn them into gummies. That's how people make cannabis gummies, is they use a tincture base. You can boil off some of the alcohol when you're done making the tincture so that it's like a really thick goo almost. You can infuse that into honey, just melt it into some honey, and you can use that and just swish it around in your mouth so that you get the benefits of how quickly it'll go into your system in your mouth, but you don't have to have how terrible it tastes with the alcohol. The honey really helps with that. So starting with a really basic cupboard tincture can be a really fun, easy way to get into it. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm going to link to all the instructions for you to do this down below, so don't worry, you don't have to write anything down, which maybe I should have told you about before, but whatever. I do hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up on YouTube and write me a comment. It helps so that other people can find me. And if you are looking to improve your life and you'd like to start using cannabis, but you don't know how, and you'd like somebody to hold your hand, then reach out on my website, which is www.revealcannabis.com. I have a cannabis consultation there. It's 150 Canadian dollars, and I walk you through the process and like hold your hand and help you learn how to use this beautiful plant medicine for health. Until then, I will see you next week.